Randy McKay, how you doing?
Doing well. Getting ready here for the big hockey. This
Okay.
big
Before we get
tournament.
into that, Fez just said over 12.5 wins. Play this crack. Losses. I'm sorry. Over losses by any team. Westgate over 12.5. Even money losses. So if any team loses 13 or more in a row, I actually bet it. I bet it for their max bet. I'm going to rebet it though. I just bet it for a max. I'm sure they're going to move it. It just matters how much they move it. They
This
seem
is
to
Major
move.
League Baseball, I take it.
Right. Major League Baseball losses in a row by any team over 12.5. I just bet that. And then you said Fez is a nut peddler. And I said, what's a nut peddler? You said he plays the nuts, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Poker term, the nuts is the best hand. And, we're all trying to do that. We're all trying to find the nuts.
Right. Well, speaking of the nuts, you went 4-2 on your games last week that you gave out here, 3-4 on first halves. Overall, a winner. So I got to tell you something. Now, people will say, "Oh man, yeah, you're 7-6. Yeah, I could do that. I don't need this big." Let me tell you something. 7-6 will make. If I win 7 games out of every 13, I'll make myself a nice living at the end of the year. I'm betting reduced juice. I'm betting many bonuses involved and roll. There's just people are funny. People just don't realize how hard it is to be a winner long term, which we are long term a winner. You and I. So even your football season, someone pointed out in the comments, yeah, you said you were going to keep track of Randy, and yeah, he broke about. No, he didn't break even. He was a couple games over at the end of the year, and he grinded out a win, just giving out games against a stale number here on Wednesdays instead of giving out the number on Sunday night or Monday. Winning against a stale number, even harder to do. So people just look for reasons to knock. So Randy, another, and how about your FCS games? How about your hockey, your college hockey, things you have done throughout the year? You've mentioned now. You mentioned some hockey. What were you talking about when you first came on the show?
So the big tournament starts this weekend. The road to the Frozen Four, which is in Vegas this year, the week after the Final Four. So there's 16 teams left, 4 regionals. So I'm sure we're going to get into that along with I got a couple basketball picks as well.
All right, let's first get into the hockey before we get into the basketball.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll just break down every region here a little bit. I won't go way in depth.
I'm going to give you the lines. Superbook has them right here.
Superbook has really good lines if you're looking to bet this compared to the DKs, FanDuels, Straddles are just ugly on some of these college hockeys.
Yeah.
So I recommend if you're in Nevada or a market where you can bet that, definitely look at that for these picks. The first region here is in Worcester. You got to say it like they say it back east there with the lobster in the mouth. Yeah.
We got two games there on Thursday. What do you got?
I like 2 underdogs here. I like this region to be chaotic here. So I'm usually a 1 or 4 beats a 1. So I'm taking UConn right away there to the plus 200.
They're plus 2 to 1 at 3 different sports books here in town.
Yep. And I like Dartmouth plus 115 against Wisconsin.
Plus 120 at Superbook and South Point.
And this will be kind of, and this has worked for me ever since a realignment. Minnesota and Wisconsin went to the Big Ten. They left the WCHA conference. They have not won. The Big Ten has not won a national title since. And I've picked against them every year. And I'm just going to stay with it. It has worked well. And it seems like the odds makers still favor these Big Ten teams. They look at the analytics, even though the conference that I look at with North Dakota and the NCHC has won the last 9 out of 10 titles. So I pick against the Big Ten, and it's worked very well for me, and I'm going to do it here. And I also got a little future there. They let me bet $25 on a FanDuel. Dartmouth to win that region, go to the Final Four, or Frozen Four, excuse me. I might mix that up though once in a while. Okay. At plus 410.
Okay. But now is that still available? No, there's only 2. Is the 410 still available, Randy?
You got to shop around. It's still a FanDuel. I'm sure I didn't move it with my $25 max bet.
Right. Looks like we need some kiosks to circumvent to get these limits in. What else do you got? Anything in the other regions? Sioux Falls, Albany, or Loveland?
Yeah, we'll go to Sioux Falls next, and then of course that's my North Dakota Fighting Sioux. Got the jersey on here. That's where they're the number 1 seed. I don't see them having any trouble there with Merrimack. You know, you can look at. There's a pretty cheap puck line there, -1.5. There's probably -105 on that game.
Now, will you lay the puck line, Randy, or you lay the 270?
I'm going to lay the puck line there. I'm not going to take the juice shot, but you know, when they've been matched up against these teams in the past, they've won by 2 goals or more just about every time. So I'm going to go that route. I think it's a little better play than laying the mustard there. The other game is close here, Quinnipiac and Providence.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that Providence is our future, Crack, 30-1.
Yep.
So, you know, if they can knock off my North Dakota, they have a very good chance here. This team's an uprising team from back east, and back east is down this year. There's no BC and there's no Boston U in their traditional powers that both had off years, so they're not involved here. But I see North Dakota unfortunately advancing here, but hopefully if they don't, hopefully our Providence gets there.
Okay, so we got Providence in the future. I always forget what we have. I don't even know. As usual, bet too much stuff. Don't really, I know it's a positive EV play. All right, you got something in Albany region. That's Friday now. We're going to Friday.
Yeah, Albany region up there, Albany, New York. Top seed Michigan, Derek's team. They're the overwhelming favorite here, especially in this first game against Bentley. Bentley's one of these smaller, colleges, and so far these colleges really haven't produced much success here. So I see Michigan winning that game. The top bet I see in the next game is Minnesota Duluth. I bet it yesterday +110, but there's still some +105 out there.
Yep.
Again, picking against the Big Ten teams here, even though Penn State made a nice run last year, but this coach for Minnesota Duluth, Scott Sandelin, very proven winner, and he destroys the Big Ten usually when they match head-to-head. So I see them matching up with Michigan. I probably have a bet with them against Michigan if the two teams collide here. And so I also look to Minnesota Duluth to advance through and beat Michigan. So I got Minnesota Duluth as a 3 seed to win that region.
All right. And now we're going to go over to Loveland. Anything there?
Loveland, Colorado. I've been to the Budweiser Arena there. Very nice. I went to, the minor league hockey game there just outside of Fort Collins. Beautiful place. You got 2 really good teams here. You got Western Michigan, the defending champions, are a $3 favorite to win that first game. Minnesota State doesn't have quite the team that they've been lately, so I see them advancing. Can always look at a puck line or whichever way you want to bet it there. And along with Denver, Cornell plays Denver in the second game. Also can look at the favorite here, actually getting a nice plus on Denver, which is a higher scoring team. Surprised me, which probably a little value there on the puck line. If you want to go that way.
Denver, you want the favorite, right? Denver, you're saying, right? They're they're minus 200, 210. But you're saying the puck line.
Puck line, you get +125.
Gotcha.
Again, I think that's a little bit more value. You can look at that thing as far as you want to go. If you want to lay or do a parlay too, you can always do that. We don't recommend parlays, but
never recommend parlays. But you're saying some of the big favorites in the college hockey maybe get away with a parlay.
Yep. And I recommend Denver to win that Loveland region. I just like the fact that they'll probably beat Western Michigan in the finals and have the support there in Loveland, Colorado, not far away from Denver, Colorado.
All right, let's go over the Sweet 16 here. Which games are you on? Rather than go down every game, just tell the people if you're on some games or first halves. Tell the people what you're on.
Right now, I'm pretty limited. I only have 2 bets and no first halves.
We just give out plenty of college hockey for them.
Yeah, and I suppose Boston went through all the games, and you can. I'll have to watch your guys' podcast here. I missed.
Yeah, he didn't have many plays either, so yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's hopefully Yeah. Hopefully he matches up here. We're on and of course my partner David Miller at Vegas Ringers. He wanted me to mention his name.
Very sharp guy. David's
if
a
you
winner.
want to follow him on Instagram, he's mostly on Instagram. Doesn't do that much on Twitter. So
Okay.
you want to follow him there.
Very sharp guy.
Alabama plus 10 is the bet we made there.
That's a match. That's a match. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to hang in there.
Play. He had the game 8. Alabama is a match. Yep.
I think they can hang in there with the 3-point shooting. Michigan's guard situation's a little shaky. Michigan's got really good big men, and that they kind of took over that game, that last game they played. So a little worried there. But of course, Alabama plays that analytics ball where they either shoot a 3 or a layup. So a little bit faster paced game. So hopefully they can hang in there.
All right. What else you got?
Probably where everybody else is here on St. John's. Kind of a fate of Duke here getting the +7.
St. John's opened up 7, quickly went to 6.5. However, here at the Westgate, +7 -09 on St. John's. So you like them, and tell the reasons why?
Yeah, just kind of a fate of Duke's young team here, a little bit injured. St. John's veteran coach with time to prepare in Patino. Like that as well. Hopefully Duke doesn't get all the calls like they normally do. Hopefully Patino works the officials just as well as Duke does. So don't see some shenanigans in that. They won't be in the double bonus with 5 minutes to go in every half. So
yeah. Randy, when you look at first half play, maybe St. John's, to stick with them in the first half, it seems like Duke has gotten off to some slow starts these first halves. Would you say maybe St. John's +3.5 there, or would you rather go the game?
Yeah, +3.5, maybe even a road +4 would be even better. Yeah, that might even be a better play in that game as well, because I like first halves a little bit in these NCAA tournaments more so.
Anything else, Sweet 16 first half, or you haven't really looked into it yet?
I haven't looked into the numbers, aren't totally out when I was looking before. So, you got to kind of wait till Thursday and Friday. And 2
plays on the Sweet 16, plenty of plays in college hockey. I think this was a really good segment here, Randy. We appreciate you, and we'll have you on next week again.
Yeah, I'm one of the few guys that does college hockey, so it's fun to come on and talk about it.
You got. I mean, you came out with the jersey today. Can you stand up a little bit? I got to see this thing. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Look at how beautiful this is. I love it. An official jersey there. All right, Randy McKay.
True.
Great. We'll see you next week on WiseKracks.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Have a good weekend.